Hi, everyone. My name is Jolly Abraham, host of the Jolly Abraham Show. And today I have my special guest back here with us, and that is Maria Fonseca. Hi, Maria.
Hey, hello.
Now, Maria, we just did a video last week where Maria was talking about her journey through child sexual abuse and her traumatic past and the journey that she went on of healing, discovering the Lord, and her journey since. So if you missed it, go ahead and go back and watch that video. But today we are talking about some of the educational pieces that we can glean from regarding sexual abuse. Because I think in our society today, and we talked about this in the last video, Maria, that a lot of people don't talk about it. It is happening, I believe, in all cultures, but it's such a secretive thing. And today I want to just shed light on it. I think it's something that absolutely needs to be spoken of. It needs to be talked about more often. We need to just think about all aspects of the issue and just bring it to the light so we can become more aware of the things to do, the right ways to approach it, the warning signs, prevention, things that we can do regarding sexual abuse. So let's get started. Oh, and by the way, Maria has written this fantastic book called Alone, But Not Alone. And this is her memoir that she dives into about her surviving child abuse. So you have to get it. It is such a great book. But beyond that, there's so many great truths and just nuggets of wisdom in here that we all definitely need. So Maria, I wanted to talk to you first about just some of the things regarding child sexual abuse. And I'm just going to dive deep. We hear that there are, these child predators, but as a mom, as someone with children, I want to ask you, like, who am I looking for? Like, is this child a predator, a brother, a father, a stranger, an acquaintance? Who am I supposed to be looking at, or who should I be looking for?
Yeah. So one thing is the majority of the time it's someone that you know. So it's not majority of the time it is not a stranger. It's someone that the family trusts, the parents trust. It could be within the family, a cousin, brother, uncle, and you can't just assume because they are like a very favorite family member, a very favorite neighbor, or they show special attention to your child that they're good. And it doesn't mean that you automatically peg them as bad, but you should suspiciously watch, to look for certain behaviors. So they can be anyone. And it could be something that happens just one single incident, or like in my case, it spanned across multiple years with different incidents, different people. So the things that you should watch for are people who are super interested in your child and having a special relationship. I just don't even like that word anymore because special was ruined for me as a child. Like, I want to be special. I just wanted to be like all the other kids and be left alone. So so the predators, they're people that we trust, and actually they're so good at what they do that they know which children to look for too. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, as far as identifying who they are, you just keep it. And here's the other thing: they're not always men. Sometimes they're women too.
Yes.
We just think sexual abuse, a child is a man, but no. Statistically, there are women, and a lot of the survivors that I speak to, it happened with a sister or a girl cousin, and so these things manifested later in other issues, but it wasn't a man or a brother or a boy. Sometimes it's a next door neighbor. Like in my case, I had one that was a next door neighbor who he knew that I liked his dog, and so he uses that, use that. So it could be, really, it could be anyone.
Okay. So do you think that there is a, certain personality type that these child predators mainly go towards, or is it just someone who's pretty or cute or like a bubbly personality? I mean, who do they typically go towards?
No, and actually probably really is not about being pretty at all. It's about whether they can successfully execute their plans. They
Wow.
look to see the quiet children, which is me, quiet little glasses, just not likely to say something because naturally I was just an introvert to begin with as a child. That was not very out there, not very loud,
Mhm.
didn't cause ruckus. So they will look at that, but they also look for children who are not well supervised,
Wow.
not well supervised. They're left alone a lot. Children with broken families or dysfunctional families, if they're watching, they're observing. This is what we call the grooming process. They're watching to see which child can they get away with this, And so if the parents are not vigilant and saying, hey, you know what, come here, don't get, you know what, you don't need to be sitting on his lap. You can come and you can be his friend from here. If a man does or a predator doesn't see that kind of guardianship over the child, then hey, they're free, they're open, And we think about statistically, a lot of the abuse happens in dysfunctional family units too, where maybe they witness it happening to another child, like, hey, all the kids in this family, like, I just saw this one get abused. Well, I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon too. So when there's generational stuff happening and they see it growing up, or maybe it even happened to them growing up, they're like, well, I'm just going to repeat the pattern.
Do you find that typically sexual predators are people who have been abused themselves?
Sometimes, yeah, a lot of times they are. A
Okay.
lot of times they are.
Yeah. And what are the statistics? Isn't it where it's like 1 in 9 children that are sexually abused under the age of 18 is females? And
Yes.
is that right? And 1 in 53, I think I read, was males.
Male, yes.
And I think what was a statistic that I read that was alarming is 34% is, I want to say, 3 to, I don't know, 12 years old. And then 66% was from 12 to 17. I was floored. I would think it would be higher in those kids who are younger, who don't really have a voice or are not necessarily cognizant of what's going on.
Yes, but if you think about that other age group, it's the sexual awakening, the puberty starts to come through. And
Oh,
so they're a little more open to like experimenting those feelings, and the bodies are more developed. And so that is an opportunity for a predator. It's less work for them. You think about it, they're looking for an opportunity to gain traction, to get close, to be successful in doing whatever it is that they want to do. And so the smaller children, are not as accessible as, say, the ones in that other group. Which, when you think about it, when kids turn into puberty and become teenagers, they don't want to be around their family. They just want to be alone. Alone is like the worst place you can leave your child when you're with unknown people, unknown family members, unknown neighbors. So yeah, it makes sense because of the sexual awakening that's starting to happen.
okay.
So it just kind of gives a little bit more of a path for the predator to get in.
Okay.
Do you like this, or do you like that, or so.
Sure. Now, in the book, your book, Alone But Not Alone, you talk about being groomed. First of all, what does grooming even mean? How does someone groom someone else? And how does that even look like? What types of grooming occur?
Yeah, so it's like the process that perpetrators take all the steps before the actual encounter to prepare, to test and prepare the child to see if they're going to be successful. And a lot of times, the grooming, in some of my cases, it was like, you're my favorite, little friend. You're special to me, and let's keep this a secret. Sometimes it was playing a game. Oh, let's play a game. I'll touch you here, you touch me there. And here I'm thinking I'm having a good time until it just starts to not feel like a good time. So grooming, it's like prepping the child, kind of sexualizing them in advance without touching them.
Wow.
To prepare them, because then they'll see. One of my abusers was a next door neighbor, and he had a dog. And ever since I was really small, I love dogs. And so he knew that, and he would tell my parents, "Oh, she wants, so she can come over and play with my dog." And I never went in his home, but he abused me right in the outside, right outside, and I never got to play with his dog. But he used that. I thought to myself, "Oh, I'm gonna finally get to play with his German Shepherd dog," and I was caught in his hands, and it was just a mess. After I didn't want to visit him anymore, and I didn't care about the dog. So grooming, it looks different. A lot of times, perpetrators will kind of look at the parents too, groom the parents or whoever is supervising that child. Is the dad an alcoholic? Does he just pass out drunk on the couch instead of watching his kid? Is the mom out working 3 jobs so she's rarely home? They look at those things and they test. But with the child especially, they speak lies to them that prepare their hearts, that open their hearts to trust in an unhealthy way.
What are some of the lies?
Like, just especially the whole special thing. That is a big one. Your dad's busy. Just come with me. I'll show you how to do these things.
Wow.
Or, your friends are all playing by themselves. You can come over. You can be my friend. We can play.
Wow. Yeah.
Like that special. Or, you're so beautiful, especially for a little girl who maybe is not being told that she's loved by her dad.
Yeah.
Or not being told that she's loved beautiful by her dad. Like that the father-daughter relationship is not loving. Well, she's gonna seek that subconsciously with another man. And a lot of times abused children, they want to protect their abusers. They groom them so well that now there's this bond between them, and they don't want to hurt them. They don't want him to go to jail or anything happen to him, because there's this like this sick, twisted kind of love that happens.
Yeah.
But it started way before the abuse. It started with here, would you like a piece of candy? Or I know you like this. Or here, come sit on my lap. Or here, let's share this blanket. Let's cuddle. Grooming processes.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. So, I'm thinking as a mom, what can I do to prevent sexual abuse? You talk about your personality and how you were naturally introverted, you were naturally shy. I mean, what do I do if I see that in my child? Like, they're naturally shy, they're naturally introverted, but that's who they are. What can I do to prevent something like this?
One of the things that I learned as an adult, as I was thinking about that same question, that when I go back to my childhood, what could have helped me maybe bring this to the light sooner, or even prevented it from happening? Well, first thing is vigilance. Obviously, parents being very vigilant over who their children are with.
Okay.
Even if you trust everyone, except for maybe you never know who's going to come at home.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, as young as preschool. I mean, I did this with my grandson when he was, he's 7 now, but I did this when he was younger. I had a conversation with him, and I said to him, anywhere where your swimsuit covers is off limits.
Wow, that's good.
Should be touching you, except for your mom and your dad when they're bathing you. No one should be touching you wherever your swimsuit covers. For the boys, it's the waist on. For the girls, it's top and bottom. And then I would tell him, there's healthy touches, and then there's people who do not good touches, I said. And I taught him the importance of not keeping secrets. The other way predators groom is they try to convince that this is our little secret, okay? And if you tell somebody about our secret, they're not going to believe you, and everybody's going to be angry, and you're going to create a mess in your family. That's how they groom, prepare, test, cultivate that heart of fear so they can get in. But I told my grandson, I said, there are good secrets and there are not good secrets. And this is what I said to him. If the secret hurts you or hurts someone else, you need to say something, you know? And I said, Mason, you always can come and talk to me about stuff that you feel like is not right. And that cultivating that conversation about something that you have to be vulnerable about and being calm about it. You know, I think about that. If I had a family member that came to me and said, hey, if anybody touches you underneath where your swimsuit covers, you need to come tell me, and I won't be angry. We'll just talk about it. And if they told me, because that's wrong, they're not supposed to be doing that. Wow, that would have like changed. Even as a quiet child, I would have said something, because in my heart, I knew the difference between right and wrong. Like I felt that, you know, and it did feel disgusting. And I would have said something had an adult come to me and say that. If they're touching you under your swimsuit, say something. Come tell me. You can trust me. That's so important. It's the conversations.
Yeah.
And for little ones, the swimsuit thing is so easy for them to identify. You know, like, okay, I see where my swimsuit's covering.
So that was going to be my next question is, at what age do you think is appropriate? Is there an age where it's too young to talk, or do you just, you say it according to the level of their understanding, but what age do you start these conversations?
Yeah, I think it is according to you have to understand where your child is, you know, emotionally in their growth. You know, I know my grandson at 3 years old, he understood swimsuit shorts, like, and he understood, you know, private parts. You know, you can use whatever words that they use in your culture, you know, to describe your private parts. And you can have and the conversation doesn't have to be like, well, if they do X, Y, and Z to you, it's wrong in specifics. You know, because when they're that young, you don't want to traumatize them by telling them something they've never experienced.
Sure.
You just want to alert them to the fact that there is a touch that is not appropriate, and that there are secrets that make you feel ugly that you should not keep.
That's good.
Kids learn about secrets when they're really young, you know, but they also learn about body care, you know, when you're bathing them and stuff like that. And my grandson, honestly, by the time he was like 4, I would give him, like, when I was bathing him, I'd be like, okay, you're old enough for you to take the sponge and wash yourself down. And I just got to keep an eye on him, make sure he was doing it right. And that's it. And now, you know, he's 7, he takes his own showers and stuff, but still, I would always stress the importance that is your body. You have to protect it, like, you know.
Yes. You know, I think it's something that we need to talk about is, what do we tell our children in regards to touching? Because as a child growing up, or, you know, other people, I would hear them being told, go hug your grandpa, go give them a kiss, you know, say that you love them, you know, all these things that children are forced to do. What are your thoughts on, because I know you mentioned it in the book, and I remember underlining it, where you said one of your parents forced you to hug an abuser.
Yeah, because they, you know, when you don't hug your elder or a man or whatever who's supposed to be like your cousin or something,
right,
it is disrespect. But what that cultural thought needs to be shattered just completely, because a lot of times they're like pushing you into the arms of your abuser. And so again, with my grandson, when I would introduce him to people, I'd say, this is this and this person. Like, you can shake their hand to say hello, and that was appropriate, a handshake, even a little kid. And, you know, with like my family, they'd be like, oh, I want a hug. Can you please have a hug? And I'd be like, it's up to you. If you want to hug them, you can. If you don't, you don't. It took him a long time to hug my dad. You know, but no, now he hugs my dad all the time. But still, it's the kids. they have instinct too. You know, they can just like I did as a child. I knew we just didn't feel safe.
Yeah.
Personally. And so I don't force my grandson to hug anybody. Handshake is appropriate.
Yeah, same with me. With my kids, I tell them no one gets to touch your body without your permission. You know, if you want to hug, you can hug. If you want to kiss them on the cheek, you can, but it's up to you. Mommy will never force you to hug anybody, you know? Like we will ask, and if you want to, go ahead. If not, then that's fine. Because I think that's important because you are showing them, hey, I have ownership, you know, like nobody just gets to touch me or hug me, and you're giving them a right to their own bodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's teaching them respect for their own bodies. They got to take care of it, all those things I think that come with it.
Yes, I agree. Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask you, Maria, so say God forbid, you know, my child or someone that I know has been sexually abused. I'm a mom, I'm an aunt, I'm a grandmother, and I have just found out that my loved one is sexually abused. What, like, what do I even say? How does that conversation even look? I want to scream, I want to cry, I want to do all these things, but what do you think is the most appropriate way to talk to a youngster, whether they're a 3-year-old, 10-year-old, 15-year-old? I mean, how does that even begin?
Yeah, so I think about, and I've studied quite a bit on this, you know, what is the appropriate response? And the first thing right out of that is to just remain calm. Because if your child sees you all angry and explosive, that will make them shut down. They've just released something super vulnerable and scary. They are aware that a lot of bad things can happen to their family structure when this gets out, or this popular person who everybody loves is now going to be viewed as bad. And they don't know how it's going to all fall apart, but they know it's something that's going to. So reassure them that number one, you believe them.
Mm,
Is so important.
it's good.
You know what? You know, I'm so sorry this happened to you, and I believe you. And that just right there gives them a little bit of safety, saying, okay, you know what? She actually believes me. So this is good. So it's really a delicate time. The other thing is you reassure them, you know, thank you for telling me this,
Mm-hmm.
because it's wrong what they did to you. And number two, it wasn't your fault. You need to know that right now. It wasn't your fault what happened. It was wrong what they did. You know, I believe you. In the probably even most important, reassure them that you're going to help them get through it. That you're going to take the right actions that need to be taken so that they feel safe, and so that all the pain that they're going through can go away. Because when we're talking to children, we talk to them like children, you know, this that they understand. Those are the basic things, is reassuring them you got their back, you believe them, you know, and you're not going to get all crazy about it. You're going to calmly help them resolve the problem, and you're going to be there for them, and that you're telling them, you know what, this was wrong, and it wasn't your fault. That immediately, I remember when I first heard that, I was 18 when I heard that it wasn't my fault.
Yeah.
That just brought so much healing in and of itself, because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, right.
If you don't know that it wasn't your fault, and you've just been told your whole life it's your fault, then wow, hearing the truth, that just sets you free right there. So I would say those couple of things is just that reassurance. Number one, I believe you. It was wrong. It wasn't your fault. I'm here for you. We're going to get through this together. Gosh, that just helps so much. And then on the back end, obviously, outside of, you know, the relationship with the child, you take steps with authorities.
Okay.
You know? And especially, it's hard when it's a family member. It's hard when it's a family member, because now it's different when it's a teacher, a counselor, someone from the church. It's outside of the family unit. They go to jail. You rarely see the impact of that in your family. I mean, you do, but when it's an actual family member, you're uprooting, you know, a lot of things. But you have to make a decision that you really do want to help your child heal, or this child who's come into your life with this secret, you want to be there. You want them to heal. And so you have to do whatever it takes. And I know it's one family in particular, the child came out that the stepdad was abusing her, and it broke apart the marriage to the mom. And she struggled as a single mom, but the man was convicted, went to jail. And
Wow.
it's important because predators don't just abuse one child.
Yeah.
They'll look for others. So if you don't stop it, they're going to keep doing it to other children.
Wow.
And this thing just grows exponentially. So when a child comes to you, you have that opportunity to, number one, help them heal, but also prevent it from happening to other children. And a lot of times when it comes out that this person has abused one child, they'll find out, okay, this other child and this other child and this other child was also abused. And so then they have an opportunity to receive healing as well.
Wow. That's good. That's good. Thank you. What are some of the warning signs that a child has been abused? What can I look out for?
Yeah, withdrawal, like sudden changes in their attitude. Maybe they loved spending time with this one family member, or loved going to this person's house during the holidays, and all of a sudden they don't want to go anymore. They don't want to spend time with them. And you're just like, why? That was like your favorite person. It's a suspicion. You don't automatically assume it's something that you should be concerned about. In conversation should be had with your child, like, okay, let's talk about this. What did something happen the last time you were there that you don't want to go there? It's okay. You could just tell me whatever. I'm not going to force you to ever go there again, but I just want to understand. Other things are, at least for me and for a couple of survivors that I spoke to, is poor performance in school. Like, you could be a straight A student, all of a sudden you're just not interested because you're being traumatized at home or just anywhere. Your mind automatically goes to these places, the escapism, the daydreams, and you can't focus. And a lot of stuff happens in your brain as a child when you're traumatized. It normally should not happen. It prevents you from really being able to excel in school. So I would say that, or maybe they're not enjoying things that they normally did. So they like to go out and ride on their scooter, and all of a sudden they just want to be home.
Yeah.
You can notice a difference in them. Another big one, and I've seen it when I used to serve a volunteer, and it wasn't a church, it was like a public school type of organization, a summer program. I would see it in little girls just acting very sexual for their age.
Wow.
They'd be chasing the boys and touching them and letting the boys touch them, and they're like 8, 9 years old, and you see that, and you're like, okay, that is a learned behavior. They got that from somewhere. It's from someone has either been doing something, or maybe they're watching pornography where they learn that stuff. But little kids just don't learn that stuff on their own. Somebody teaches them how to be sexual in nature. And it's harder nowadays too, when you think about the media and who our daughters are looking at, Beyonce and J-Lo with these very provocative clothing, and those are their idols. You have to guard their minds, and you can't avoid them because it's in the media, but you can still have conversations. The conversations are so important. Yeah, you see what she was wearing? That's not really appropriate because guys are looking at her in a certain way. They don't care who she is. They don't know anything about her. So conversations.
Yeah. And I love that you said it's so important that we as parents, as the caregivers, to remain calm, because, I know being passionate, if I were to hear something, I want to be like, I'm going to chop their heads off, something because I'm feeling so emotional at the moment. But just like you said, I think it's so important for us to remain calm, even just to pray, God, give me wisdom. Give me wisdom, a spirit of revelation in this matters, and show me what to do. You created my kid. How do I speak to them in a way that they don't feel rejected and things like that, but that they feel valued and heard, So I just want to reiterate to the viewers for us to stay calm and, just give our kids a safe place to speak to us, and I think all these warning signs that you gave are huge. It's the huge shifts, right? It's the shifts of mood. It's a shift of behavior that we see.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. And you can see, and when you start talking about like adolescent ages, that's when you start to see the mental illness arise. I see it all the time. The depression, the suicidal tendencies, the panic attacks, like those are rooted in some deep fears. And it doesn't mean it's all abuse, because by the time a child is like 13 or 14, they've witnessed stuff and their memories are very clear about things they've seen and how it affected them. So it could be other forms of trauma, but still sexual abuse is accompanied a lot of times in adolescence by those three things: the anxiety, the depression, and the suicide rates.
Wow. Oh, that's good. Well, Maria, thank you so much for being here. It is really such a joy and honor to have you. Thank you so much for your courage just to come out and share your story. And you've just given us such a wealth of information to draw from whenever we, have these times in our lives or conversations with our kids. We can just come back and watch this video and listen to what you said. So thank you again. And I want to just share your book again. It's called Alone But Not Alone. Maria, can you tell us where we can get your book?
Yes, so it's available on Kindle for Amazon, and then the paperback is available on my website, www.mariafonsecawrites.com.
Okay, awesome. And the link to your website will be down in the show notes. So viewers, go ahead and make sure you check that out. And really quick, Maria, tell me what's coming down the pipeline for you, what you feel like God is moving in you, doing next with you.
Yeah, so I'm currently working on a second book, and it's a Christian fiction book, but the theme is very similar. It's about healing from trauma is the underlying story. God has allowed me to continue my work in helping reach women, but in a more creative fashion. And I'm really looking forward to having that release sometime at the end of next year.
Awesome. Can't wait to read that. And how can our viewers just connect with you if they have any questions, they have concerns, or just want to connect? How can they reach you?
Well, I'm available, obviously, on my website, mariafonsecawrites.com, but I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can reach out to me in any one of those.
Okay, awesome. And they'll be down in the show notes as well. Really quick, I just want you to answer this one question. Finish the sentence for me. I don't think
I'd be alive had it not been for the love of God coming to rescue me and heal me and restore me and then use me to help others. I wouldn't be here.
I love it. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Maria. Love you, girl.
Okay, bye. Thank you.
Bye.